I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. We are both wearing black because today may as well have been a funeral, at least for the day. The Washington Commanders fall to the Buffalo Bills 37-3. We were at home. We could have gone 3-0 for the first time since 2005. It was nowhere close to meant to be. And we're going to go ahead and give our reactions to it. Before we begin, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell if you enjoy. And K-Dot?
Share most of the shit. Maybe not this episode, but share most of our shit.
I appreciate your honesty there. Yeah, this one's going to be a bit rough. Why don't we just jump into it? K-Dot, and we'll conclude with the comment mailbag, as we always do from the previous episode, where we read all the comments. But this game, right? Yeah. Like we both thought we would lose by 3. We thought it would be close. And then what you said, 31-28 Bills. I think I said 27-24 on the final drive. Yeah. Bills 37-3. And it was never close from the get-go, quite frankly. What was your reaction to the game?
Okay, well, I did go back and I listened to our episode, and during the prediction segment, I'm laughing throughout because I'm like, I don't believe anything I'm saying.
Right. I can give you that.
So there's that. But I will say this. It did feel closer than I thought it would in certain aspects of it. Yeah, we were outclassed. They're a better team than we are. But in certain aspects of this game, especially early on, look, I'll run you through the way it worked for me, okay? So you guys, I was on the Eastern Shore dealing with a tropical storm and all kind of shit, streaming the game through maybe not the most legal of circumstances on my iPad with my headphones on while the girlfriend's watching HGTV on the big screen. And the game starts off, and the first Buffalo drive, I'm like, holy shit, we might dictate some stuff. So like the first drive for Buffalo, we get into 3rd and 10. Then what you completely talked about was containing the quarterback. They did a terrible job. He runs up the gut, gets the first down. But I'm like, okay, they kept him to 3rd and long. That's good. The defense needs to shore up some stuff, but okay, all right, cool. Give him to another 3rd down. Allen flushes out, throws that bomb down the fucking Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God damn it. Okay, all right. Bamba don't break. These guys are holding the 3rd down. They'll get right. They'll get right. We always start slow, right? Then another 3rd down, they get pressure. He overthrows out the back of the end zone. They kick the field goal. And I'm like, you know what? To start the game, holding 3, I'm feeling good. I'm like, the defense is flying all over the field. Allen and those guys, they don't look like they got it together. It looks good so far. Then we get the ball. The first drive looks pretty good until the end, right? So like, first run from Brian Robinson, 7 yards. Yep. Then we get the Howell to McLaren, short, looks good. Then they run it again with Brian Robinson, another 5 yards. Then the short pass to Terry McLaurin again, getting Terry involved early. Then the play action to Cole Turner down the seat. It looks great. And then all of a sudden, Howell holds on the football too long, he gets sacked. Next play, run pass option. Howell gets scared. There's no more the run pass option means you need to make the decision quick. You can't back out of the decision and then decide I'm gonna run now after I've backed out of the decision on the run pass option. It's not run pass option, another run. He gets caught. Get goes down. Then the interception on the holy shit, I might be getting hit. I know Bieniemy Brown. I'm just gonna throw it his way. Terrible throw. And then the wheels just kind of come off, man. Like, to me, it's one of these games where, like, you're going to go through growing pains with Sam Howell. This felt like absolutely growing pains. There was some atrocious Sam Howell play this game.
Yeah.
But it's all stuff that I think can be mended. It's all stuff that are learning experiences. It's all stuff we talked about Kirk Cousins last week or last episode.
Yes, we did.
And how Kirk always compounded mistakes. That seemed like what Howell did in this game. And look, the offensive line did him no fucking favors. At one point, I couldn't even call Andrew Wiley a fucking turnstile as much as he was like a flag in the wind, just showing whatever direction he was turning is where the defensive end was running. It was just all around. No, there are places to blame all over, mostly down on the defense because they held their own until the fourth quarter. It was a 2-score game until the fourth quarter. It was a 2-score game until the fourth quarter.
And so I actually want to echo your sentiments over here because it also felt closer to me than it did based on the final score, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about it. Let's get Buffalo into 3rd and long, and then we are gambling. We are rolling the dice. Hopefully, Josh Allen, who is of that caliber of a superstar QB, will make mistakes. Fair play to him. He didn't. Right? But it was 3-0 after that first drive. And we were driving that ball, like you said, and then the pick happens. Okay. Both teams turned over on downs. And then all of a sudden it's 10-0. We have the 4th and goal. Now, last time in Denver, it worked. Logan Thomas catches the touchdown. This time it doesn't. Sometimes it just goes both ways. Now, we're also going to treat Sam Howell like a starting NFL quarterback. Yes, he's young. Yes, we're optimistic, but let's treat him accordingly. 19 of 29, right? 170 yards, 4 picks, no touchdowns, 9 sacks. You want to know how many times he got hit, K-Dot? 15. 29 dropbacks, 15 hits. And and I know you have, but like you being the general you with the audience, if you've been following Sam Howell and you know that he holds on to the ball a little bit too long, but maybe you were like, you know what, maybe he doesn't. This proved it, right? 15 quarterback hits, 9 sacks this time around. He's on pace for breaking an NFL record in terms of number of sacks in a season. So clearly there is an issue of him holding on to the ball too long. So Eric Bieniemy in the offense, as good as they looked last week, they look terrible this week. It's as simple as that. 2 positives I want to mention. Brian Robinson, I thought was very, very good today. 10 carries, 70 yards. That's for the whole game. The game was starting to get out of hand, yes, but each time he got the ball, there was something positive about it. And I do think he broke tackles. He pushed through. And on that first drive in particular, he looked very, very good. The defense, it's a team sport. If you're going to continue to turn the ball over, and Antonio Gibson had yet another fumble, almost going back in time, where we thought he was past it at the end of last season. Here we are again. That's already 2 fumbles lost. The defense can only do so much. I know you're going to see the 37 and you're going to go, man, the defense sucked. First down, second down, they did pretty well. Third down, yes, Josh Allen made some plays. They need to be better, of course, and they know that. But the offense did absolutely no favors, put them in really difficult positions. And that's what I mean by team sport. K-Dot, go ahead.
The Brian Robinson thing is the thing that is probably the most glaring to me. And when I say that everyone's responsible for this, except probably the defense, is Eric Bieniemy. I've been critical in certain aspects of this team starting out slow and making adjustments in the second half. And during the game today, they did show the run to pass ratio in the first half, second half of games, and how it is that we're running the ball a hell of a lot more in the second half than the first half. And that is sort of surprising when you think about, especially like the Denver game, we had to come back.
Yeah.
Right. So, but we were still running the ball really, really effectively. When we talked in the preview for this, we talked about how I know I specified I wanted a lot of carries between Gibson and Robinson.
Yes, you did.
And it was the running game needs to be symbiotic with the passing game for it to work. If you look at that first drive, that 21-yarder to Cole Turner set up off the play action. The play action that we've already fed Brian Robinson the ball twice. He's getting 5+ yards a carry. They have to be honest. Through 3/4 of the game today, Sam Howell was pressured 80% of the time. He dropped back 80%. Which means they knew that we were squaring up to throw. They pinned their ears back and they came for him. And that's the thing is like, we're telegraphing that to some degree. And that to me is, you're not helping Sam Howell in that. You've talked about them getting more involved, like the screen passes in the short game.
Yeah.
And doing things that help him out. You're not helping him out by not running the ball enough. Like, if you see the number of carries we have running the ball, it was a 2-score game. Another thing that I like, the commentator crew, I dislike Tiki Barber in general. I love Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, Boston College for life. I thought they did a great job in certain aspects of this game. And especially coming in the second half, they're like, hey, full playbook's available. It's a 2-score game. Mm-hmm. Anything can happen. Washington needs to stick with what the game plan is and keep it going. There's still a lot of time left in this game. Like I said, up until the fourth fucking quarter, it's a 2-score game.
Yeah.
We had an opportunity to do something more than what it is a shootout. Do I think that we were meant to win this game? Absolutely not. I do think Buffalo's just a better team. But in these moments when you beat an Arizona, you beat a Denver, you got to be competitive in this game. And at least we're not your favorite Denver Broncos and what fucking Miami did to them today. But and shout out to Mike McDaniel, class act as far as not going
former Broncos ball boy.
Legit guy, legit. That was a fucking drubbing. I just Washington overall. It's just, this was a disappointment because it felt as though we were shooting ourselves in our own foot. And I also made clear in the previous show that I don't think anything that happens in this game, even a blowout, and I said specifically, even in a blowout, is indicative of the way the season necessarily is going to end. The only thing with this that I would concern myself on, Sam Howell looked shell-shocked at certain points in this game. And if we're going to be giving up 7+ sacks a fucking game, then you can expect Sam Howell to look a hell of a lot more like David Carr than fucking Patrick Mahomes by the end of this thing.
Right. But part of it's going to be on him, of course. Like the commentators are beginning to specify. They're like, hey, by the way, Sam Howell is holding on to this shit way too long. That being said, and this is where I want to add a little bit of levity. This is normally what you do. I'm just going to take over for this one.
Good.
It's one day, right? 37-3. Yes, it's brutal. Yes, it sucks. The team is still 2-1 overall. If you're going to lose, let it not be an NFC East game like this. It was an AFC loss, right? So like from a conference standpoint, from a tiebreaker standpoint, this is as quote unquote good a loss as one can have. That being said, yes, there's plenty to work on. We have a young quarterback. We have an OC that is now quite visibly taking over everything. Let's see how they respond. Philadelphia is next. So it's not like it's easy. So let's see how this group responds. I'm very curious to see, K-Dot. I'm looking forward to it. I want to jump over to the comment mailbag because of what you mentioned when it came to the play distribution between run and pass, because we're going to begin with Patriot clips over here. 51 dropbacks, 12 designed runs. EB hung Howell out to dry. Now, the 51 dropbacks is kind of surprising because you see the 19-29, and I'm not sure about all that, but the point stands that there was a hell of a lot more passing and putting our team in that situation, versus running the ball when it looked like that was effective from the get-go. I would have loved to your point, have seen Brian Robinson more, even Antonio Gibson more. Yes, he fumbled, but that was way later. I would have loved to have seen both of them get more carries because it seemed very effective early on. What do you think, K-Dot?
Agreed. If you just go look at the play-by-play, you could see the drives and how the runs just dried up. I'm not going to go as far as to say that Eric Bieniemy hung him out to dry. I will say that, like, he didn't do him any favors. And certainly. I think that this is something that they all need to have a come to Jesus moment with themselves and with each other. The idea that even if Sam Howell holds on the football too long, which is something he's got to learn to correct, if you're seeing that he's still doing that, okay, let's queue up some runs or something to prevent him from getting fucking hurt. Like, if this is where he's at mentally, yes, there are growing pains through it. You guys are going to look at the tape. The only thing that's really going to rectify it is during the game. But if the getting hit is getting hit, and I'm sorry, but you can see and sense it in a QB sometimes that when they're getting hit, when they're getting rocked that way, Because the thing is, even when it wasn't the sacks, the QB hits, he's getting smacked.
Oh, even his run, as awesome as it was.
Right.
My goodness, the hit he took. There were multiple hits on that run.
This is week 3. We saw the Cardinals games. Motherfuckers were doing jujitsu on his fucking neck, trying to break. Like, it's been violent. It's been a violent fucking start to the year for him. And I've seen Patrick Ramsey come through and fucking get his shit kicked, and then he was never the same dude. Like, regardless how it is, you can't have your quarterback getting hit bad.
You want the QB to protect himself. Yeah, it's that simple. And I think finding that balance. It's early on. It's early days. I'm curious to see how Bieniemy responds just from a coaching standpoint. And I'm curious to see how Howell responds. Because this was, by the way, this whole sack thing, early on when I was doing analysis of the various QBs, I actually had a tweet out for the District Divided account about like Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Sam Howell, all that jazz. I like Sam Howell. And I said that his O-line wasn't that good because I saw the number of sacks he took. I'm now realizing that part of that was just Sam Howell holding on to it too long because he wants that perfect play.
Yep.
And this is where the coaching comes into play. So I'm very curious to see how that gets fixed.
And I actually say what is very interesting about that is that there was a guy in Kansas City named Patrick Mahomes that kind of had the same problem to a certain degree. Now, it didn't turn into sacks because the O-line is a hell of a lot better. But there were moments, especially with the Tyreek Hill years, in which he was always looking for the home run and held the football entirely too long, and they did correct it.
So why don't we go ahead and jump over to Vindo, who writes, the Bills suck, and I greatly appreciate what you tried to do here, because for those that don't know, Vindo, an OG on the show, wrote the Broncos suck last week, and we won. And so the Bills suck in the hopes that it would turn our fortunes in the right direction. I greatly appreciate. Now, unfortunately, we did lose 37-3, and there was a reply to it after the game, and Vindo wrote this before the game, just to be clear, where we got JC Zoe 23. Lol, Washington got embarrassed. What a trash, dog shit, irrelevant team. 6 wins, tops probably more like 5. And the thing is, honestly, appreciate that comment too, because there's going to be a lot of frustration too. That could have been a Bills fan. I have no idea. But the whole point is you are going to get caught in the frustration of the game that occurred just now, right? And it is also important to realize that there are 14 games left and there are adjustments to be made. And we have the new owner and we're still riding good vibes. So if we're 2-6, yeah, let's have the conversation. 2-5, let's have the conversation. 2-4, even, we can have the conversation. But for the time being, as bad as this was one game. K-Dot, go ahead.
Vindo. Appreciate the comment. OG. Love you, dog. The Broncos sucked as a fact. The Bills suck is a wish.
You appreciate the sentiment, though, right?
Let's keep it to facts. If you can, Vindo. Let's keep it to facts. That being said, cuz Vindo, our dog, OG, number one. Just a little thing to JCZO23.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, bitch boy.
I agree.
Yeah, straight up. You want to talk that shit after the game?
It's easy to comment after the game with all that bullshit.
If you want to talk shit, then talk shit. Like, even drop. I want you to be the first comment on this motherfucking video. You know, like, talk your shit. Like, you do it before game, after game. Just keep the same energy. Don't be doing this bullshit afterwards, because we would never heard from you if Buffalo would have lost that game. Now, granted, Buffalo wouldn't have lost that game, but we wouldn't have heard shit from you. So, fuck off.
Plain and simple. So as we wrap up the show, my final thought, and Kid, I'll hand it to you as well, but my final thought is this was one day. Yes, it sucked. Yes, it was frustrating. Yes, Sam Howell easily had the worst game of his NFL career. And yes, the offense did no favors to the defense. They did no favors for themselves. And that permeated across the whole team. It sucked. But on to the next one, and there's plenty of season left. K-Dot, your final thought.
Sometimes you need an ass kicking. The times have been riding so fucking high post Dan Snyder. You look at preseason breaking the Ravens record. You look at the comeback against the Broncos. You look at starting off the season against the Cardinals. You look at what was supposed to be a sellout crowd full of fucking Bills fans of that. So Sometimes you need that humbling. Sometimes you need that moment you can bounce back from. You're right. This is for a team that is full of young guys that are trying to make it to the next step. Sometimes you just need an ass kicking. And this is what this was. What do you do with it?
Exactly. What are you going to do about it? And we're going to find out together. This was District Divided, DC Sports Podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. If you enjoyed the episode, and if you didn't, honestly, this was a pretty shitty day in terms of the score line and maybe some of the expectations from some fans after a 2-0 start. But regardless, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and K-Dot,
share that shit, especially if you JCZO23, bitch boy.
Share that shit and comment as you always do. We really appreciate you guys. We will see you Friday, 2 p.m., where we preview the first NFC East game of the season against the Philadelphia Eagles. We will see you guys then.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.